welcome everyone to the conversation where we talk about everything Cowboy. My favorite team, your favorite team, America's team. Here with your host, Coach Marv.
Cowboy Nation, how are you? How are you today? Want to come in and talk for a little while? It's a rainy Friday here in the beautiful state of South Carolina. Been working all day, got a very long weekend coming up with a lot of different events. Trying to get a lot of stuff done. Just wanted to come in, man. We got some updates, man. We got a couple of updates I want to talk about. One, we're going to talk about the George Pickens thing. My title kind of reflects about the George Pickens thing because we talked about George Pickens, and my title says, Did the Cowboys do somewhat of what I suggested with this free agency? A lot of people gonna say they suggested the same thing. It's close to what I suggested. It's a little smarter than what I suggested because I think they did the exact same thing that I suggested, but they protected themselves a little bit more with the way they did it. And we're gonna take a look at that. Two, listen to Christian Parker talk about in his interview, talk about this to hear him talk and to tell and it solidifies to me that safety is a big issue in Dallas. And it's going to be a very good, and it's crazy when I'm gonna talk about it with Christian Parker, when he talked about the evolution of the hybrid safety. He talked about Darren Woodson. Darren Woodson was what people are now calling premium, and he was premium 30 years ago. And it's a travesty. Darren Woodson is not in the Hall of Fame. When you are a trendsetter, when you are before your time, that makes you Hall of Fame ready. And we should, as Cowboy fans, that's just another pet peeve I got. We as Cowboys should echo this loudly. That Darren Woodson with this guy, that with this coach says is now a trend that needed an NFL. And this guy was doing that 30 years ago. And we'll touch bases on just what Christian Parker said, and he was just explaining who Darren Woodson is. And I wish that the people that was interviewing him that day would have said, you just named Darren Woodson. So, and we're gonna talk about those things, and we'll talk about the outside linebacker situation where we had some position changes. Now, some of these were just position changes. And we're gonna talk about where I think Clowney fit and where I see Christian Parker and the defense saying he doesn't fit. Doesn't mean that I don't think he fits, but I can see where they see he doesn't fit. And that goes back to, we have to start thinking 3-4. I think a lot of our Cowboy fans and our prognosticators are thinking still 4-3. We have to go traditional 3-4. And I'll explain to you where that 3-4 look is going to come. And don't worry, the pass rush will be there because of the fact that 3-4 gives you a lot of different ways to get to the quarterback other than, and I think we do have some good pass rushers, other than just having a dominant pass rusher. And some teams does, but you could really manufacture pressure, and I think the pressure will be there And maybe not the way everybody else want to think, but I think they're really into a 3-4 mindset. So a lot of things to unpack. I think it's a lot of great topics. We got first we're going to touch bases on. The first topic we're going to touch bases on is this thing with George Pickens and the not the exclusive franchise tag, which pays you more money. One, yeah. The non-exclusive plays a little bit less, and it gives you a lot more freedom as a player, somewhat freedom as a player to still shop your talents without saying that you only can be beholden to negotiate with the Cowboys. Two reasons. Let's look at the non-exclusive. Non-exclusive gives you right to go in and talk to other people, get a tender from them, and the Cowboys have a chance to match. Now let's go back to see what I said first. And I want to say, Coach said, well, let's go back because in this world we always need receipts. A lot of things I don't have in print. I just said it in my shows, and I hope sometimes y'all catch it and hear it, but y'all don't. But let's go back. Let's go back to what I said. And this was in request to replying to a Boss Cowboy post, right? And we were talking about Pickens getting $30-40 million or whatever in that post and whatever. And I said this, and it's on the screen now. My post on a couple of days ago, the 24th of February. Matter of fact, this don't think that I seen him get the non-exclusive franchise tag and then come up with it. I have been saying this. If you've been watching my videos, every time I talk about Pickens, I say the exact same thing. Let him test the market. Let him give us a chance to match. If someone wants to give him this $40 million, well, fine. It's not hurting us that he doesn't fit our pay structure. And some things that Stephen Jones said today should give y'all in the point of saying, I don't think there's no $40 million here. And I don't think they think he's the next guy up or he should have the mantle of being the highest paid wide receiver on this football team. And if that's the case, you can forget that. It's going to be franchise tag or trade or that's it. They're not going to, and I can understand that. But let's give my point on this. I said here, I'm going to say this again. I might have missed some words because me and typing Texas and typing I'm not to say I'm the most grammatical. I have the thing, but sometimes I be leaving out words. But let's go through it. I'm gonna replace the words that I missed. I said let's say this again. I've been saying it all the time, but I say it again. If Pickens loves Dallas, and he says he like he say he do, right? Like he say he does. The Cowboys should make him a solid offer. Now, did the Cowboys make him a solid offer? I can't say they did. But they may make him a solid offer in the confine if they start to talk. They should make him a solid offer so they can cut all this stuff out. A solid offer. If you said that you're going to bring him in under a certain person, there's a number that you will be happy with, Cowboys. You already know. And you know it's not going to be no lowball offer, but some y'all might call it, but it may be a very good, respectable offer. A solid offer. That's what I'm saying. They already know a number they can work with. All right? A solid offer. If it's not accepted, let him test the market. Now, some of y'all, I heard some people say, test the market, we feel like we're going to lose him. Listen, man. If you believe, listen, everything is working in your favor to keep him. Dallas, for one. Outstanding quarterback that he got chemistry with. Playing with another great wide receiver in CeeDee Lamb. Very good wide receiver. One case in point that Stephen Jones said he might believe he's the best in the league. That's because of the history of what CeeDee Lamb is. See, it's not about flash in the pan. Playing with Dallas, in Dallas, your place you had your best season ever in the NFL. All those things flowed. A coach that likes to wants to get you the ball, wants you incorporate you in this offense. All those flow things, if we talk about, we're going to lose it. If it's just about the money, well, hey, man, if we lose him just because it's about the money, let him go because he wasn't invested here. And I'm not saying you take anything less, but I'm just saying there's a lot of things working in our favor. Keep it. Would you say that? So let him test the market. This is what we do. We giving him a chance to go out there and test the market to see his value to the market. Right? And then say what? Ask him to give us a chance to match whatever offer he gets out there. And I think he'll respect that. Okay. I say go out and let him, don't give the franchise tag, let him go out and inspect the market. Now, the Cowboys went one step up on me on that. And I'm gonna understand why. They said, okay, we're gonna let him test the market somewhat, but we're gonna make sure that we get a chance by rules to match an offer, and we're gonna make sure that we can get some chance to get some compensation if he does have an offer out there that we can't match. Very smart. Non-exclusive, because exclusive means there is no way that we're gonna get rid of this person. This means if we do lose him, we're gonna get some compensation, or we want first right to refusal. That's a great job. One, you allow him to go in the market to see what other teams really value him as their number one wide receiver, and do teams value him to pay him? Since everybody said he's the next guy up, there's a lot of teams out there that need wide receivers. Do teams value him to put him at the top of the list of wide receivers, as well as top of the list of paid players other than quarterbacks? And did the Cowboys get a chance to match? Or did the Cowboys also get a chance not only to match, but the Cowboys get a chance? I'm online, baby. They get a chance to match as well. They get a chance to get something. And listen, very smart franchise tag. They're non-exclusive. That means now, where does hurt Pickens at? Now, let's don't get it so twisted that that's all in the Cowboys' favor because they're giving him the market. Don't get it all twisted. It does tank Pickens a little bit. In my suggestion, he's free to go test the market without any strings attached, right? So that means if he go out and negotiate with the New Orleans Saints, in my suggestion, when you just let him go out and test the market without any franchise tag, he go out to New Orleans, and New Orleans gonna offer him a contract, and he can say, "Hey, man, I want a contract. I'm not even gonna give the Cowboys no chance to match," and walk. Also, the Cowboys get nothing. He walks away, they get nothing. With this exclusive franchise tag, not exclusive, the Cowboys lock him in with a little bit less money, because I think the non-exclusive is a tad bit less than the exclusive tag. And they got they're not going to lose him. When you talk about losing him, if they do lose him, they're going to get compensated for him. There's some draft picks, and the team has to work out a trade for him. So they're going to get something for him. They're not going to lose him for nothing. Now, where this tanks ticket, where this messes up Pickens a little bit, is because what? This messes up Pickens a little bit because teams out there offering him an offer now got two problems. One, if they offer him an offer of $40 million, right? And he turns them down, or he takes the thing. You get hyped. You show your hand. You got 40 million, and then the Cowboys come in, smash off it, and you lose it. You do all this courting him, and the Cowboys come in and match off and take it. Or you gonna pay him top dollar, pay him big cap money, and then got to turn around and give draft capital. And I don't think Pickens is worth that's throwing the whole kitchen sink at Pickens like he's a combination of CeeDee Lamb, Lamar Chase, and Jefferson all together. I don't care what y'all say, he is not that good. Now, we see a team throw that amount of capital at him, he'll never live up to that. And that's no diss to him. But you can't tell me, and film can't show you that. You know, everybody like to look at film. Film ain't gonna tell you that this guy is generational like that. I believe Dak had a lot to do. Pickens did too, but being with Dak and Dak dropping some on-time throws enhanced him a lot. He's good, but I don't think no team is gonna say, here's the kitchen sink pay-wise, and then we're gonna turn around after the pay-wise, and then we're gonna turn around also and give you everything you want. And then we're gonna turn around and give away players for you too. Come on now. Listen. I think they like him, but I don't think teams. So using team players that got an exclusive, a non-exclusive tag, they don't really get too much traction because of the fact, one, you have to give up players for him, and you got to sign to a deal that you're scared that the other team won't match. So if they somewhat we let you test the market, but we got you kind of restricted for people that cannot really don't want to talk to you because you got some strings attached. You're not really out there in the market. If we go get you, we still got to give up capital to get you. We got to give you money, and then we got to give up capital. So all these people out here talking about, well, can we lose him? Yeah, you can lose him. Yeah. You shouldn't have never get Pickens to a point where you feel like nothing can go wrong that you got to do all costs to keep him. Because if Pickens go somewhere else at $35, $40 million, and you get draft capital back for him, and you just traded him for a second or third, and you get 2 first-round draft picks, and you keep money to sign another wide receiver somewhere else in free agency. Come on, man. What y'all talking about? And Stephen Jones alluded to this. Stephen Jones alluded to this. And let me go back, and I need to show you some more of my. I got off the thing too much because I got excited. But let's look at some more of my statement. So I said, give it, and we expect. Let's see what his resume means to other teams. Okay, what I'm talking about Pickens, that's not shooting Pickens in the foot, but let's see when teams are talking about throwing $35, $40 million to a player and probably guarantee $100 million. Let's see how they feel about how you're because listen, attitude. We can talk about plays, but when you give a guy $100 million, you better be ready about how locked in he is attitude-wise, how locked he is. Because we can talk about plays, but when you give a guy $100 million, this is a contract. This is a contract. If it doesn't work, or there's something that goes wrong with this, this could put a strangle around your organization cap-wise for a while. So you got to be, you got to know if this guy's the right guy. You hear Shadi Howard and all of them talk about it. He's coming in your environment, in your team. We don't know we don't know what happened in Pittsburgh. We know it didn't work. We know in Dallas it worked. Well, so what makes it work there? Do we have that same structure here? All those got to be questions got to be asked. So we let the market look at his resume, and they're gonna ask these questions. Yeah, they're gonna ask the questions before they give him $100 million guaranteed at $40 million. They're gonna ask these questions. They're gonna ask the questions of what happened in Pittsburgh. You will be a fool if you don't ask those questions. You'll be a fool if you don't research every route to see if it's precise, if he got the work ethic to be there. You can't just look at numbers. I'm not saying that was going to be, but they're going to do that. So, yes. Do Pickens want to leave? Do he want, let's see if he wants to play with another quarterback other than that. I don't think he do. Let's say if someone wants to give him $40 million, for number one duties, $40 million should be, if he get $40 million, he should go. But what did it take to handle, can he handle that? Because he had a number one position. Can he handle that? That's fine. These are questions that teams are going to ask. Because Pittsburgh cannot be this forgotten. And I hear a lot of people talk like it did. The worst thing you would see is see something like that and act like it just gets gone away. What if the situation is like Pittsburgh? If it is like Pittsburgh, can you risk you having $40 million and it goes like that? You don't want to risk that. So, because see, the true value doesn't mean, getting his true value doesn't mean he's going to leave. That doesn't mean he's going to leave. That's why he just don't feel trapped. This way doesn't make him feel trapped. It means he's really shopping himself. And that's what any player wants to do. Then, if we gave him a solid offer, then he gets to decide if he what deal / situation is best for him. He gets to decide. And sometimes they decide with a little less money because the situation is better. It happened many a times. So let's really see what the market is, because there is no market without bidders. And guess what? After you have bidders, you may get him at the price that the Cowboys want him. This is what the Cowboys trying to do. They like Pickens. They really want him here. They think he could be a part of the offense, but they got a number, and they should be at no cost. Anybody who says there should be at no cost for Pickens, I question how much you know about football, because you talk about like this guy's generation. And don't give me about this stuff about, well, we got to do this for Dak. Listen, man, Dak has put up top-ranked offenses in 23. And can somebody name the real second wide receiver then? And the offense was better in 23 than it was now. Dak is that guy. And I mean, you ain't got to go there with chopped liver, but I don't think you got chopped liver. So this is not running Pickens off, but it secures him. It gives him a chance to see what the back. Now, he may not get no offers. Usually an unexclusive franchise tag guy don't really get no offers. Not a guy in Pickens. I don't expect Pickens to get any offers from nobody. That's not saying he's not a good player. That's not saying other teams would take would not like him. But no, it's too much attached to his name. You're not gonna give him the contract that his agent gonna want, and then turn around and give draft capital. And then you say, well, they did that with Michael Parsons. Okay. Michael Parsons and yeah, but Michael Parsons dominant for 3-4 years. You see it wasn't like when Michael Parsons got, and that really means something to people. That's always gonna be a question he's gonna ask. They're gonna ask that question. They're gonna ask that question. They're gonna say in Pittsburgh, other players have better years than you. Are you that mad the quarterback and other players have better years? It's going to be that question. It's going to be, and he should have known that. His agent has told him that. That's why you tell young people, man, every situation you're in, man, make the best of it because it will go with you wherever you go. People are gonna use that against you. You can act like you can get rid of it and do something and act like it's going to go away. That's in life. It doesn't go away. That's why you got to make the best of every situation you got, and you got to stick with it. So don't tell me, well, 900 yards. I had him. Listen, 60 catches, 7 touchdowns, and 3 years. That's some of that's on Pittsburgh, some of that on quarterbacks, but some of that's on him too. Don't go into this thing saying, "Oh, there ain't none of him." There's a reason that Pittsburgh. And guess what? And these are the truth. When they put him out there to trade, there was not a lot of big suitors. There was not a lot of people knocking down the door. And that's just plain and simple. Okay, that's a great question. Let me get back to hold that question. Let me get back to. Let me stop here, stop sharing, and get back to that. Great question. And let me explain to you how that question where that question how that question is formulated. That was a great question. Let me put it on the screen here. Make sure I put it on here so it no. Yeah. So it's a great question. And that question says this. He said, okay, so hypothetically, let's say Pickens gets no offers, which it's really hard to get offers in this type of situation. It's hard to get offers in this type of situation. You usually don't get offers in this type of situation because of the fact not only you got to pay him money and the Cowboys got a chance to match. So you're actually bidding. Two, you're bidding plus you got to give a compensation. And people say, okay, if he in the free market, yeah, we're signing, but we ain't gonna sign him and give up no players too now. We ain't gonna sign. He don't mean that much. And that's what people say. Now, yeah, we're gonna sign, but we ain't gonna give up our future just to sign him. And most teams who try to rebuild need those picks. So they'll spend money for Pickens, but they'll spend money for Pickens and then need the picks too. Because Pickens ain't gonna make or break their team. So hypothetically, this is the thing that they're doing for Pickens. So one, the Cowboys are doing this so they can break it, knock down the arrogance level a little bit. Because if nobody gives him an offer, which somebody might, but if nobody gives him that $35, $40 million offer 10 years for him to sign, not just what people say, they got to actually put it on paper. Then what the Cowboys gonna say, well, listen, ain't nobody else offering 35, 40 million dollars, but we want you here. We want you here for 28, 27. 3, 4 years, we're gonna guarantee $80 million or $90 million. Because Stephen has said something today, sir, that answered that question to you too. When Stephen starts talking about he thinks CD Lamb is probably the best one, the best receiver in the NFL, that's shot fired that everybody should listen to. That means what? And listen, I know what that means. I hear people talking about the franchise, the top receiver get 13% of the cap. I'm not disputing that at all. That is true. You do the numbers, that is so true. But that's for one receiver, one time. That's not for you to do it now and then to do it again with the next receiver. And that's for your best wide receiver. Not because one had a better year because the other one got hurt. That's for the guy that you consider the best wide receiver. And if that ain't the other guy, you don't give him that. Because what you're saying to the other guy is that he's better than you. And y'all can talk about what CeeDee Lamb done said and how they said, but if he got a competitive bone in his body and he understands what he has done, that won't sit well. Now he can say, well, Pickens will judge everything he gets, and I will give, some of my money for him to keep it. I guarantee you, because when you get the other guy more money, you're saying he's the best. And that ain't got nothing to do with this is next. Understand that the wide receiver gets 13%, right? But context says one time the best wide receiver. It don't say whoever next. You just get so next year you get another next guy. The next wide receiver 13%. That ain't none of that. Now that might be for somebody else team who don't have that. Sure. That might be some other team when you bring it in and he is the best receiver in your eyes. Sure. But if you're thinking in your eyes, and the Cowboys are really stating this, that CeeDee Lamb is still the guy. That's a shot fired to Pickens to say, listen, we're going to let you have exclusive rights, unexclusive rights. We're going to allow teams to come in if they want to, that they're not scared about the price tag that's behind you. Allow them to offer you more money. And if they offer you more than CeeDee Lamb by $4 or $5 million, guess what we're going to say? We're going to say, we can't make that deal. Let's get our first round draft picks from this team. And then we're going to take some of that money that we had to offer you, and we're going to go get another second wide receiver that y'all going to be very happy with. Because my man Boss Cowboy told you there's other guys out there. We're going to take, and listen, there's going to be some other guys that take a shorter deal for lesser money and be happy with that. To play with Dak Prescott, because they're going to see what Dak Prescott do with a wide receiver. That's just business. That's just smart. Y'all think it's not smart because y'all so wrapped up. You see, I think our Cowboy fans get so wrapped up and we don't want to lose players because we heard what other people will say. It's not a boy. We stop thinking about in rather term. It's our ego gets involved. Because I asked a Cowboy fan today. I was in the barber shop, and he was a Cowboy fan, and he was telling me about Pickens. And I asked him this question. I'm asking y'all the same question. I want y'all to give me, and I don't want you to give me no crazy. I want you to really be truthful and give me a true answer. If Pickens was a free agent and he was with another team right now, and he had this similar year, and we second All-Pro, but and he was a free agent, would y'all be saying give him $40 million if the Cowboys can get him? And would you ask the question like, oh man, what, he only had one good year. I guarantee y'all would ask that question. Y'all scrutinized that one day. Y'all scrutinized CeeDee Lamb. Y'all made him keep trying to have good years to become a number one wide receiver. Y'all say Rico Dowdle wasn't good enough. And when he got carries, he was good enough. Y'all killed Tony Pollard. And when you go watch film, y'all nitpick about one game. And listen, he didn't get enough opportunity, but he still had. Y'all killed Ezekiel Elliott because he didn't get winning. And so he was somewhere else. And he had one good year. Y'all wouldn't be talking about giving, y'all be saying, let's go get him, but y'all wouldn't be talking about getting him $40 million. Y'all wouldn't be talking about paying him more than CeeDee Lamb. But since he played here and we talking about losing him, Now our expectations for him, y'all got people saying pay him more than CeeDee Lamb. Come on, man, y'all be real. Because when they traded him, y'all was excited, but y'all wasn't all that excited. And y'all wouldn't pay him more than CeeDee Lamb. If he was a free agent somewhere else and he had that same year, you would not be saying bringing him and paying him more than CeeDee Lamb. No, y'all would. Ain't no way. But now it's okay. And the Cowboys just told you, if they consider this guy being the best wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, you're gonna pay. If you say he's the best, you're gonna pay the next guy more than him. I know sense don't make what name, but common sense. You can give me about next man up, but the next man up always fit common sense. Now I heard somebody say, well, Patrick Mahomes is not the best. Listen, I keep trying to tell you the value of the player of that team. To that team, there was one quarterback. Yes, that's the band. The context of this situation is not like no other context at all. Because in all those other situations, you don't have a guy that is a dominant guy already on their roster. I always said, if he wants to be here, I say don't take two $30 million wide receivers. I never was with that. But if he's gonna come in under CeeDee Lamb, hey, that might work. But the Cowboys already telling you that. And they're saying, hey, check the market. But they know the market ain't gonna really, nobody gonna jump on him and out there. And I'm saying this again, because I know somebody gonna take my words and twist it and say Coach Marv said ain't nobody don't want the Pickens. No, I did not say that. I said people are going to ask those questions. And there a lot of times in this situation with the unexclusive tag, you don't get a lot of traction because it comes attached. Okay, the unexclusive tag is just like the same is in the big level that the same thing that the tenure that they put on Bass, the lineman Bass. Do y'all remember? Y'all they say they put on a second round tenure on the Bass, the backup guard. You know what that says? He's an undrafted free agent. They put a tenure on him that has a certain amount of money that they're gonna pay him for 1 year, right? And if you offer him a contract, they get a chance to refuse. And if they refuse, you have to give them a second round draft pick. That's what the second round tenure means when you put that on. This is the franchise tag of like the tender is. It's the higher version of a tender. One, you put the tag on him, it's unexclusive, it's at a certain dollar amount, which that dollar amount, I think it's a tad bit less than the exclusive price. That might not be much, but maybe a couple of maybe a million or so, or 2 million, something like that. I think the non-exclusive, make sure y'all don't quote me on this. I think the non-exclusive is the average of the top 10. I think the exclusive is the average of the top 5, if I'm not mistaken, or the top 3. One of the top 3, top 5. But I think the non-exclusive is a little less. But it's just like the tender that they put with the undrafted free agents. Same thing they did with Bass. They put one, but this time it's at a higher level. They gave him the unexclusive right. If a team wants to give him an offer, they sign the offer. The Cowboys have the right to first refusal. If they refusal, then with being a franchise tag, now they were working with some compensation. And most times that's first round draft picks. And the higher the tender you put on it, the bigger the compensation has to be. So they could have gave Bass a first round tender. But if you gave him a first round tender, you have to move his salary up to probably instead of 5 or 6 million to 10 million probably. And then if a team came in here and offered him more, and you refuse, then you get a first round draft pick. Usually, when you put a tender on any player, nobody goes out there and get them. Nobody offers them contracts. Very rarely you see a player that gets a tender, right? Or a person that gets a non-exclusive tag, get offers, and somebody take them away with a contract. So when y'all talk about that he could be lost, just go check the record. That happens very rare, if any time. Why? Again, because it's got other stuff attached to it. It's got draft picks, so you really not. He's not really a free agent. You're giving an offer, and you still bid with the regular team because they get a chance to refuse and accept or refuse the offer. So, and also, if they refuse it, you not only got to sign them at that big money, but you got to give them some compensation. And they already got the compensation locked in the tender or the present. So it's already saying, if you get it, we're not negotiating what the compensation is. We already know it started off with first round draft pick. So teams don't really do that. They really hope that it falls apart with you, and you rescind your offer, you rescind the tag, and then they can negotiate with them freely without no compensation. So I think this is for them not only to try to set the market for Pickens, but this is something they're doing to try to think that they're trying to humble him to say, hey, well, ain't nobody else getting your offers. Now we, like the question said, now you're getting other offers that you got to take lower of us. His agent understands this. His agent already told Pickens, hey, man, we may not get offers because paying you the money we got to pay you, and then we got to turn around and give compensation. I don't think no team think, listen, man, you got to be Chase and Jefferson put together for a team to say, I'm going to give you $35-40 million, all this guaranteed money, and I'm rebuilding, and I'm going to give up some first-round draft picks on top of that. Now, you may have a team that make crazy out there do that. But that's really saying he's the best wide receiver in football to do that. And he's not better than Lamb to me. He ain't better than Jefferson. He ain't better than Chase. He ain't, and I'm going to mess some people up now. I'm going to get some people hot. He ain't better than the tour at the Rams. If somebody say that, go look at Puka Tua and check his 1,700 yards this year. He can run the ball. He can block. He can do. There is no question about his game at all. And there ain't no questions about it. So that's the CeeDee Lamb. I mean, that's the George Pickens thing. Next topic. Man, Darren Woodson. I listened to the interview today with Christian Parker when he was with Brian Broaddus and them. They were talking about, and Brian asked him about the safety position, about the IQ and the stuff, and he talked about the evolution of the safety, of how the hybrid safety, the guy that can be in the box, the guy that can cover, the guy that's got the cerebral, the guy that can do, how that has now not just become a thing that people just try to get a guy here and there. It has become now a definite need on all teams. And he talked about how they pick with that hybrid safety guy that can play nickel corner and play safety and play this that can do all. And remember, he said do all. Those guys are they are just they got those are the guys that you make great defenses out of. Guys that can do multiple things and do them well. Because you don't ever feel in a mismatch. Matter of fact, you make the offense feel like they're in a mismatch based on what you got. And he talked about guys that turned in from that he said it came in, it was linebackers that then turned to be safety. and Pickens. He was just describing Dan Woodson. Dan Woodson got drafted out of Arizona State as a what? Do anybody see? This is why I try to ask our Cowboys to know their history. Dan Woodson got found by the Cowboys, not a first round draft pick, but the Cowboys saw him and they drafted him out of Arizona State as a linebacker. He was a linebacker in Arizona State. But he had excellent cover skills. He could play in the box. He played the run, but he was drafted as a linebacker. He was drafted as a linebacker and converted to being a safety with the Cowboys. He played safety with our nickel package. Cowboy fans can't even name who our nickel cornerback, and he did play nickel. Cowboys were one of the first teams that played multiple 3 safety packages. They were one of the first teams that played the 4-2-5 defense. See, I bet y'all don't know that either, dude. A shell on the back end that stopped big plays. The Cowboys was the first one to do that. And Darren Woodson was the guy that was the hybrid guy that played. There's a documentary where he played slot. When Jerry got in the slot, Jerry Rice, he had times he had to guard him. He played the slot. He played in the box like a linebacker, as well as he played on the roof as a safety. He was the prototype of what they're talking about getting right now. Darren Woodson, your Cowboy. And we haven't had a number 1 defense since Darren Woodson left. Let me say that again. When y'all were talking about all these other things, we hadn't had a number 1 defense since that type of player left Dallas. That's why Bill Parcells them loved him. And he talked about, and Christian Parker talked about safeties that mold together, that read each other. When Woodson was here with the safety from Oklahoma that was knocking people out, they were a perfect combination. You talking about Darren Woodson that played safety, that's the all-time leading tackler in Dallas Cowboy history. Say that again. Out of all the players that have played for the Cowboys, Darren Woodson got the most tackles. And Christian Parker says that he wants that type of guy. And what Coach Marv been saying all last year, 2 years. I did a video because I thought Jalen Ramsey was that type of guy. Cerebral, tough, fast, got cornerback instinct, want to play safety, playmaker. I said, if you brought him here, I said he could be he could be your Dan Woodson, but he could be your Charles Woodson. Because Charles Woodson went to Roy Williams. Charles Woodson went to Green Bay, coming from the Raiders, playing safety at Green Bay. And he was who? He played it like Darren Woodson started the prototype back 30 years ago. So when y'all keep telling me, well, football different and man, players ain't, ain't the same. Listen, they're striving for a player that was already been built in Dallas. And how invaluable is it that we hadn't had a number 1 defense since Darren Woodson? He talked about that's a very key. He also talked about something else that that I guarantee a lot of people don't pick up. And y'all can say Coach Marv tooting his own horn. Listen, he talked about the attack style of the the defensive line. He said we're not gonna sit there and say we're gonna play just hold blocks up and fight with blocks and two gap. He said we're gonna get upfield. We got 3-4 that's gonna get up the field, but we're gonna know how to anchor down and when to anchor down. But we're gonna get up the field. And then Brad Brothers asked him about, well, do you want linebackers that's read rag? He said no. What did I say about the defense last year? Go back and watch all the live parties. I said, this defense, that you got an attack style defense from your defensive line. If they're attacking up the field, if you don't have linebackers and safeties that can see it, read it, and go get it, it's going to fail. How many times I said that? And what we had is linebackers and safeties. They could see it. They may have read it, but they waited. And when you wait, Mr. Parker talked about the levels. And when you wait, when you got defensive linemen going forward and your linebackers and your safeties, the third level, are not attacking the football and attacking downhill in these gaps. And when you have gaps, it's acceptable to big plays. It makes people look like they can't tackle because the space is so large. He talked about not having space. He talked about this. What he was really talking about today is we have to close the green grass on players. The less green grass that the offensive player sees, the better off is for the defense. This is what Coach Parker was talking about. I bet we can sit down, me and him sit down right now and talk about that, and he tell me, say, Coach, you right on point. We want our back end, we want our front end, front seven to cause havoc. We want our second level linebackers to see it, read it, and go get it. And what they don't get, safeties, corners, clean that junk up. And all in a box. And we want to intimidate you to the point that you feel that you have no air. Then we cause you to make mistakes. That's defense, baby. But if you play it timid, you see it and don't attack it. And what I said all last year, we don't rally to football. But you can best believe the guys that they got on this coaching staff, the guys from Georgia, the guys from Alabama they got on the staff, they ain't with that. If you chicken hearted on this team, or you don't feel like you waiting on you one of these people that said, I'm waiting on somebody else to make the tackle, you have a hard way to go on this team. So he was describing Dan Whitson. And I wish Brian Brothers would say, hey man, you need to talk to Dan Whitson because he was that guy. And I bet you Christian Parker knows football enough to know that Dan Whitson was that guy that people now talk about as elite that they need to go get. Everybody needs to get that guy. That was already Dan Whitson. Could play in the slot, could play a receiver, could play linebacker, and could play safety, and do it all well. And was cerebral. Do it all. A matchup problem for the offense. Next point, we talked about these position changes. I said something about position changes. Let me go to my Twitter again. I'm gonna share something else with y'all to go to my Twitter again to talk about the position changes that I said that I thought that we were going to do. Now, some of y'all gonna say, what you talking about, Coach? Coach said some position change. I said that we're gonna do. Now, one of them, they came out and said the linebacker coach talked about how he rated about Agent Zero, the Mario Obishan. Now, I saw Demario Obishan when I first heard about this 3-4. My first thing was Demario Obishan would be an outside linebacker. Of course, they said they want to keep him at middle linebacker. I bet you they're gonna find out somewhere down training camp that Demario Obishan comes a little forward a little bit better than Maris. And I think Obishan got more blitzing sacks in college than what Maris did. Now I'm not saying that they were saying, but I think I think Obishan meets that outside linebacker position out there a little bit better. But I would tell you why I don't think Obishan is going out there. And I'm gonna tell you why I'm retracting that. Let me go show you what I said in my about position changes. I did this post. And I did this post and I got another post, but I did this post. This post I did was on February 19th, well before all this was talked about, right? I did this on 19th. I said, Cowboys defense position changes, I think, and this is what I see, right? I thought Agent Zero, Demario Obishan, was going to go to outside linebacker. That's the same position they put Maris in, right? I still think Obishan is a better outside linebacker because his blitzing capabilities, plus he's a more of an attack style. When he's going forward, he is devastating. Two, to keep him out of that middle from the traffic, I think he would be better suited outside where, he can get out of that traffic and you got to work. That's maybe less on his injury side, right? And I think he just would be a better playmaker because I think he just got that athletic ability to be that playmaker. But I'll get into why I think that they may have backed off that. Okay. Second thing, I said Siobhan Rebel to safety. Now, some of y'all may not think that's going to happen, but listen, the first interview Parker said about he coached a guy that was with Siobhan Rebel at Denver, a teammate Siobhan Rebel, and he said Siobhan Rebel was the tight end eraser. Let me say that again. He spoke about Siobhan Rebel being the tight end racer. And he talked about Siobhan Rebel having size, having the ability to play close to the line of scrimmage and tackle and be physical. If you talk about the outside corner, you think Siobhan Rebel could play inside? I think he can play inside if he's playing safety. I said when Siobhan Rebel, I need to go and look up the receipts. I said when you redrafted him, I said he looked like a safety. I said that's where I thought he was going to play based on what I saw on him on field. And his physicality and his length and his bigness. Siobhan Rebel might be your free safety this year. If that happens, I think that's a good fit for him. The second one I said, the last one I said, the 3-4 Clowney would be a 3-4 DT. And then there was reports out there that Stephen Jones said that Clowney, they're trying to see if Clowney fit that. Now, Clowney may have asked for too much money. That might be one of the reasons. And Clowney might have been asking for a 2-year or a 3-year deal. That might be another problem. I think they want to deal with Clowney on a 1-year basis. Now, I said Clowney would fit because I think Clowney can play. He has played inside. Now, let me go to the reason why I think they said Clowney. They may have said Clowney don't fit. And I listen. I'm not. I have to look at things objectively and look at that total view. One, Clowney at his weight is not going to do that. Clowney got to be real skinny, and when you start to get when you see a player start to lose a lot of weight to get real slim, that means that they're having trouble. Clowney has always had problems with knees. He's got that microfracture surgery in there, and yes, Clowney's always had problems with his knees. ever since college, and he got that mic. So that has a useful life of about 10 years, and then it started to really gland. So Clowney is a rotational guy. And when you start losing a lot of weight and not being trained because of the fact that he's trying to keep this quickness, and I'm not saying that he doesn't have no quickness and didn't play well, but Clowney has to put on just a few pounds because in the 3-4 D tackle, we need you to have quickness, but we need you to have some. We need you to dominate the guard, and we need to dominate the tackle on one-on-one blocking. So we don't need a bunch of race car runners there. That comes from the outside. We want you to be able to beat the inside guy and being a little stronger because there's no running pattern on there. You're not running by guys. You're gonna be bull rushing and swimming and getting by. But when they run the running plays, you got to be stout because that's 5-on-5. And I can still see Clown doing that. But I think they're gonna hold off on Clowney till they find out where they can get in the draft and how things fall. I don't think they want to invest into Clowney right now. And I think Clowney will still be there. But Clowney will be there. And I think if they explain it to him that way, Clowney's got enough IQ, football IQ, to know what he needs to do. And that's why I think he can fit in that way because he knows how to play football. Okay? Why the agent zero to stay in the middle now and not going outside and they move Maris? Now listen, when they say that they move Maris to the outside and they move number 41 to the outside, listen, they moved 41 to the outside to be a star pass rusher. And let me tell you something, people. He got all of what Christian Parker wants. Screaming long arms, know how to play with his hands, know how to extend his arms, got pass rusher moves, got the right size, can play the run very well by standing blocks up, set the edge. He's got all of that. This guy's going to be a star. Heard it here first. Y'all can talk about other people. If this guy keeps going and developing, I think this guy could be a star. And I think those guys on the team know that. I think Quinn Williams know that because he talked about it. And I think they know that this guy could be a star. He could be a star. And I got some inside words from some people that said, yes, this guy could be a star. There's no doubt about that. But the Merritt's moving to the outside linebacker. Listen, I'll pump y'all brakes. I heard people start having shows about this, like Merritt's going out. Listen, what did they say? Let me say it again. What did they say? They say they're moving Merritt to the outside. They didn't say they're moving Merritt to the outside to be a starter. They hadn't found their starter yet at outside linebacker. And I'm going to tell you for sure, it ain't Merritt. They said they moved him to outside linebacker. That don't mean he's going to be the starter at outside linebacker. Right? That's where he's going to get his reps, and he may get a chance, but they ain't got now. Why they didn't move agent zero? Because when you're looking at that, yeah. Why? Because they're looking to draft the outside linebacker. And people, we may have seen it out of Ohio State. That 6'5" beast, 240-pound guy that can get up. And how that started to point towards that direction? Because one, he has the qualities that he's been a safety before. So he knows that when you drop him in coverage, he can cover. He got some fluidness in his hips. He's also long enough to come from the outside. He's the right size of an outside linebacker. He's that what's the guy? Y'all help me in the chat. Tell me what the guy that played for the New England Patriots, and I think he's a Hall of Famer. They used to be on TV, but he got in that trouble because and one of my homeboys, Mike Jones, a guy named Mike Jones, played for the New England Patriots, and they were really good friends with that. Mike Jones was when the New England Patriots played. Me and Mike Jones played high school football together. When they played, the Green Bay played with Parcells. Mike Jones was a captain. What's the guy? to play outside linebacker, the 6'5" guy for the Patriots at that time. Willie McGinnis. This guy, that guy at Ohio State can be a Willie McGinnis. And Willie McGinnis was a bad man. Yes. 6'5", 240-some pounds. He ain't got his pro weight yet. Run a 4.40. Got athleticism. You brought in a guy in here to teach them how to pass rush. People, you don't understand. If that guy around, he is your outside linebacker. And you put him on the outside with the other guy, number 41, on the other outside, people, don't worry about pass rush. You're going to be all right. You're going to be feared in pass rush because Quinn Williams is going to be hard to contain in the 3 technique, in that 5 technique. And believe it or not, also playing one-on-one in the other 5 is going to be hard to contain. And in the 3-4, what I keep trying to tell you when y'all talking about pass rushing, because y'all still thinking, y'all still thinking 4-3. But in a 3-4 play, it gives you ways to blitz when you can't pick up guys because it's always 5-on-5. Yeah, you may have think, but listen, it's possible you can be there at 12. Because I think they're going to draft their I think they're trying to draft their outside linebacker. And if they don't get him, there's some other guys that that are pass rushers, but they want guys that are pass rushers, could be outside linebacker type that can have some fluidity in the hips. Because sometimes that guy's going to have to drop off and you're going to bring a blitz from the inside. We have to think 3-4, people. Everybody's thinking 4-3. When we talk about, get this 4-3 this line, get that 4-3 this line. No. They're not trying to get guys that been eventually 4-3 guys and trying to now change a leopard after being there 10 years. They're trying to build more speed. They're trying to build what we call a 4-3 gives you a lot of different ways to get to the quarterback. People think a 4-3 is really confusing. It is a lot that you can do with a 4-3. One of the people that did a lot of breakdown of the 4-3, and hopefully one day we might, somebody tag, if somebody out there, please share this video and tag us to Okoye Media and tell them that Coach Marv was talking about you, about what y'all talked about having this video together, talk about the 4-3. I mean 3-4. Because me and him talked about this years ago with Michael Parsons. And we had a great show talking about this because we thought the 3-4 it fit Michael Parsons to a T. It would have made him generation. I don't think at a 4-3 lineman, he's not generation. Now people gonna get mad at me. No, that's not there. But at a 3-4, he would be generational because he would have been 125, 30 tackle guy, 17 sack guy, and he probably got 3 or 4 interceptions, maybe a pick 6 with his speed. That was generation. They're going to do this. So the 2 things that they need. Let me go back to my share. I'm gonna share with. Let me go back to one. Let me see if I can find my Twitter post. Tyrone Church. Let me see if I can find my Twitter post where I talked about the things that they need. Let me see if I can go to my Twitter and see that post. I told y'all that see all these things are coming out, and I ain't trying to toot my own horn, but I told you these things weeks ago. I said, listen here. I said this back when we first Christian Parker first talked, and as he talks more and more, now I'm talking about clowning in this, but as he talks, right? As he talks, and I explained to you what I told you about with Agent Zero. They moved it. They say Agent Zero ain't gonna do that, but I think Agent Zero would have been good outside. Houston would be good outside at 3-4. Now, and I'm gonna explain that when I tell you about what I said. I said this post on the 19th as well. Okay, finally we heard from defensive Parker. And I'm telling you all right now, the focus will be on a dominating physical playmaker at safety. Yes. That plays smart, physical, nickel/safety. The Darren Woodson type. So if you want to think about how to help build this Parker defense, think safeties first. Second, pass rushing outside linebackers. I said all these things. See, as we start going along, we start to see these exact same things. I'm not saying that I got receipts. As the more we hear them talk, the more that this start to come to fruition. Because that's the thing when he started talking about it, it makes his eyes light up. Then, and what they do, they went and got, they talking about pass rushing outside linebackers, and what they do. Church, if you still in the chat, what did they do, Church? They went out and got a pass rushing specialist to teach these outside linebackers how to do what? Rush the passer. Third, attacking middle linebacker. So if you want to attack a middle linebacker, who did you keep in middle linebacker? You keep Overshawn in the middle line because you're going to draft another outside linebacker. And some of these other guys are going to work as outside linebackers. All these positions make a 3-4 pop. And that's the same thing me and the Koye was going to talk about. He loves the 3-4. He's been champion for the 3-4 for the longest. And it's right. You know, I've always been a 4-3 person. A 3-4 has his very much advantages because you can disguise a lot with 3-4. And Coach Parker talked about today is really going to be a 4-2-5, basically. And the 5 is they're going to be a nickel, but they're going to either be a nickel or they're going to be in the matchup a little tougher because if they got that hybrid safety, they can play, they can still be good with the run. That's why that hybrid safety, the guy that can play line, the first thing he talked about is that guy that can play the run, he can play the linebacker, he can play safety, he can play linebacker, he can play corner, he can play safety. You can't play a 4-2-5 and you don't have guys that are multiple to do that. That one guy's multiple. I'm not going to what Coach Marv said. I'm going to what the demand is just in his interviews. He said, basically, we're going to run 5. So that's why you need that guy. That's why he's talking about that slot corner or that slot corner/safety. Slot corner, but with safety capabilities. Maybe a Chevron Rebel. Okay. Then I said what? Number 41, Houston. Why I say Houston? Then we talk about Houston. Houston put a lot of pressure on teams last year. Why I say Houston? You said, well, coach, you know, Houston is just a rush in. Houston came into college playing linebacker. He got converted because he could rush the quarterback when he went to Jackson State. He played at Florida as a linebacker. He had linebacker skills. He knows about linebacker, but you got him rushing the end, but he knows about linebacker. And he's a professional pass rusher. Then I said Agent Zero, but now Agent Zero has moved to, I didn't say Maris, but those number 41 and Houston, and they're going to draft another guy outside of a pass rusher, outside linebacker. Yes, Agent Zero will go to outside linebacker. Well, they say they're going to keep him as that dominant linebacker. And then I said the inside defensive tackle is already in place. Keith Clowney is in the DT Tech 5 rotation. Said all these things. And as we hear Coach Parker, the more we hear him talk, these are the things we're going to be focused on. Then I said something else on the 19th. You got, people say, Coach Marv, you ain't say some of these things. And I think this is ball cowboy. I said, what did I preach about all last year? Physical playmaking secondary. Players, yeah, secondary players. Offenses, this is what offenses always do, people. If you want to know what offenses do, how they attack defenses, guess what offenses want to do? Offense play to make cornerbacks tackle because the most time the cornerbacks are not the best tacklers. So your offense, you design plays sometimes so the cornerbacks have to tackle and for safeties to cover. If you got a hybrid guy, when you try to do that, you might run into some interceptions. But that's what offenses do. They try to make players do what they're uncomfortable to do. Most times, if a cornerback is a great tackler, he would have been playing safety. Most times, he was great covering, and he was safety, they would probably have him at corner. So offenses want to make cornerbacks tackle and safeties cover. What D coordinator Parker wants interchangeable safety / nickel playmaking players with size. He talked about that today, about people having size. He said that. He said that today. I said this on the 19th. He said that today in his interview. He talked about size, speed, by playing fast, but he said you also have IQ. I said all this on the 19th. I said all this. And he iterated today. Coach Parker talked about the exact same thing. And making plays. And a will to make plays. That's what he wants. He wants that hybrid guy, that interchangeable safety. Someone that can be tackled, that can cover, and want this in a new deep 3-4 defense, a weapon. Defense is a weapon. Those young type of guys, I said all this. Yeah, that's true. If they can catch, they'll be receivers. But that's what you do. You play to make tackles here. Go with football a long time. You listen. If you say if you got your cornerback is run support and we can drag the safety away with some motion and then leaves your cornerback at run support and we run the play, we'll take our chances at the cornerback being run support and then the safety being run support. Now, I'm not saying that the cornerback can't tackle, but that's what we do. We'll play better if we can put our slot receiver and run a combination route where our receiver going against the safety down the field. I'll feel better with our receiver against the safety going down the field than I'll feel with our receiver against the cornerback. So as offenses, y'all learning something now. Listen, offenses, they try to play to make they play to make cornerbacks tackle and safeties cover. But Christian Parker wants interchangeable safety / nickel plies. I said all this. Go check his interview today with Brian Broaddus. He talked about speed. He talked about IQ. He talked about explaining about a safety that people are looking for. He should have said, I'm looking for Dan Whitson. Because Dan Whitson was that guy 30 years ago. And guess what? We hadn't been a number one defense in the league since Dan Whitson. Say that again. So these are the topics. Now talk about it, and I'm gonna recap because some people just coming in, and I thank y'all for coming in. Telling you, man. Recap. First, we talked about George Pickens. Did the Cowboys do exactly what I suggest? Did it somewhat? They put him in the free market, somewhat into the free market. They put him in there for him to find his value out there. They put an unexclusive 10 might well say 10 year because the 10 year and and unexclusive are basically the same thing. Yeah. Yeah, but did you hear what? And I'm go before I recap. I want Church Church. Did you hear his first interview when he talked about he uh he used to coach a player that was with Siobhan Rebels that used to play with Siobhan Rebel in Denver that played in the same school. And he said, "Oh yeah," he told him about Siobhan Rebel, about how he could tackle and how he was the tight end eraser. Siobhan Rebel's got the size. If he's got the physicality, Siobhan Rebel did when him coming off a knee injury, right? He probably could be, his cover skills might be extraordinary at safety. Don't be surprised if Von Rebel gets moved to safety. And he may play on the roof. But the safety position, remember this, Church. I know you're talking about Reddy. Reddy didn't look physical enough to me in tackling, didn't this past year. Maybe that's because you go by what your leaders do. And when you got young players, whatever your leaders do, that's what you do, right? But we need size at that position. I want bigger physical guys. I want a guy I want a bigger physical guy at that position. We do not need midgets back there talking about playing safety. Listen, that guy was the toughest guy back there was 2 years ago when you had Jordan Lewis. Jordan Lewis was that guy who was tough, but he just wasn't big enough. We need a bigger guy. And when I think is when you got a bigger guy that can play safety and playing it well and can be intimidating, it's a great fixture for you. Because remember, that guy's got to be in the box. That guy's gonna be that guy that can do everything. So I need a guy that's gonna be bigger and bigger. In fact, I need that guy. Now I don't know who it is, but I just don't need a guy back there just because they say he a power watcher. I need a playmaker. I don't need a guy back there. I said this a long time ago. In 4-3 and 3-4 defense, listen to me, people. It is made for safeties to be stars. Let me explain it to you in layman's terms so you understand. Most times you're gonna have 5-on-5 blocking. So when you got 5-on-5 blocking, then you got two linebackers. Your lineman will have the combo to get in. Usually safeties are only gonna be blocked by tight ends or maybe tight ends, but most times you're gonna send receivers at them. And if you got a playmaking safety, you're never going to even touch them safety. Think about some of the great safeties, man. They flourish in 3-4 defense if they're playmakers. Right? So that's very key, man. As they keep on talking, they'll keep on saying the same stuff, but I know everybody's gonna be like, no, coach, this is that, whatever. Okay. All right. I know. But let's recap. I can't get this thing off my screen. Let's recap what I talked about. But great comment as always, Church. Let's talk about recap what I talked about. First, we started the show because I'm going to get off. Been on here a little longer than I wanted to be here. First, we started off the show talking about Pickens. Yes, the Cowboys did some of what I said that we're going to do with Pickens. They say, okay, we're going to let you test the market somewhat. When we gave you an unexclusive tag, and remember what I explained to you about the unexclusive tag. The unexclusive tag is basically like the tenure that they give undrafted free agents. You're like, well, no, coach, that's not how it is. The tenure they gave for the Bass for the one name is when you give them a tenure that is a certain price that they got to pay them. So when they give you a tenure, it's a salary already. And the tenure means that you can go out and negotiate with other people, but they got to sign you to an offer. And the Cowboys get a chance to match that offer. If they don't match that offer, they have like a second round tenure on you. then you have to give them a second round draft pick and you gone. Well, this is like a high class tenure when you give them an unexclusive franchise tag, because you still give him a chance to go out there and shop himself. But if somebody signs him to an offer, I think the Cowboys get 7 to 10 days to match that offer. If they decide not to match that offer, you got to give them some compensation to get them to trade you to them. So they really safeguard themselves with, you have to give you the match. I said, don't put the franchise tag on him and let him go out there and test the market and tell him to give the Cowboys a chance to match. I thought he would respect that. But guess what? The Cowboys said, hey, we want to put some measuring in to make sure that you give us a chance so we can get something out of you. So all these people say we lose him, we're not losing for nothing. If he does go somewhere, we got something coming. We got some good stuff coming. So we're not losing for nothing. But if he's over our price range, I understand that. If he's over our price range, I understand that. Yeah, please. Y'all please hit the like button. If you hadn't hit the like button and you're in this chat, please hit the like button. If you hadn't hit the like button, my beautiful friend, my beautiful, my beautiful, this is me. This is who I am. Miss Ginger, she's who I am. If y'all see me, that's who she's got my back 100. That's who I am. She's right. That's my better half. She said, listen, please don't forget to hit the like button. Please don't forget to share. And if you hadn't subscribed, please subscribe. You got 3 things to do, right? Like, subscribe, and enjoy. Please, if all those, make sure you do those things. Right? Please hit that like button. I need those algorithms to go out there. But I think the Cowboys did that, and they put our Pickens in a certain. So the Cowboys covered themselves. I also explained to you that, check the history of this. Very few, if any. Let me say this again. Very few, if any, players. Very few, if any, players get signed off non-exclusive franchise tags. Very few. Why? Because it's something extra to that. And I got if you want to cash app the show, I'm putting my cash app here as well. So if you want to, support the show and keep on putting up content, so we can keep here. You see, I upgrade some camera stuff, but I got to get lighting and a whole lot of other stuff. We got to continue to push this thing and push this thing to another level. But if you want to, very few players have ever got signed off a tenure. You got to take it, if any. Just like when you do the tenure for these undrafted free agents, very few, nobody really signed. Nobody go, you say, well, I'm putting them out there, coach, they're not protected. Somebody's gonna be able to take them away from me, right? They're not protected at all. What I'm gonna do, the guys the guys that protected, they just put a tenure out there. Nobody goes out there. Nobody's gonna go out there and sign bags. Nobody's gonna go out there because they're not gonna give a second round draft pick. They got to pay him a salary, and then the Cowboys come back and match it. Now you don't put yourself out there, then they come out and match the salary, and then if you don't match the salary, you got to give a second round draft pick. Nobody's probably going to say we'll trade a second round draft pick. That's why they put a good tenure on. And if somebody come out and say, well, we'll give them 8, 9, 10 million, most of the time the Cowboys might match it. Just $4 million more than what they were doing. Or some they may not. And they say, okay, let's give a draft pick this year. So a lot of people don't do that. Very few undrafted free agents get signed, and very to none. Just go check the history on that. There's very few that happens. So usually that's just locking them in, right? But it also, in the Pickens situation, they're giving him a chance to find out to say, okay, is there anybody out there really want to throw 30, 40 million? Is someone value you at that level that they feel that you just that generational guy that they'll give you 40 million or 35 million or 34 million and then give us some draft picks? I think this is just a ploy to try to knock some of the ego down. To say, okay, and the Cowboys know ain't nobody in history says nobody goes out there and signs people to offers. So they already know that's not gonna happen, basically, probably not. So now they trying to use this as a negotiation tool because he don't get no other offers, then he can say, well, you ain't getting no other offers. So, then but they know the offers are attached to draft picks as well. Plus the Cowboys can match. So nobody's really he's really not free because the Cowboys got a first right refusal and people not gonna pay him no extreme amount of money then give up draft picks. Y'all no, they ain't going that way. Second thing is Steve Jones said something today y'all need to listen to. When you start telling people that he believes CeeDee Lamb is one of the probably the best or close to the best receiver in football, that's telling you that no negotiations is talking about paying Pickens more than CeeDee Lamb. Y'all were talking about what's next, what the market done said, how it goes up. Listen here. They're not talking about that. And I put Philadelphia as the same case. Philadelphia, when they came to Devontae Smith, they told Devontae Smith, yeah, this is the pecking order. We're gonna offer you a real handsome contract, but this is the pecking order. And they ain't play around with it. And he's handsomely paid. They got Super Bowl ring. And he got the contract before he got Super Bowl ring. So he stayed in the right spot, and he's gonna be young enough to go someplace else. So they're gonna say they're probably gonna act, and I see how this is gonna go. I think the Cowboys are gonna offer less than CeeDee Lamb, probably around about $4, maybe $5 million less than CeeDee Lamb. But I can see at the end of the day that Pickens' agent may bite on that, but for less years. Since he's 25, his agent might bite on that, but might bite on that for like a 3-year contract. Saying at 28, he'd probably be in the market even bigger, or CeeDee Lamb would be on the way out because his contract would be up. And now the bigger money is coming. But you're going to get some good money now. Because I think his agent's going to find out it ain't the Cowboys either going to play you on that tag unless some other team comes and say they're going to offer you the bigger money and then they're going to trade from it, and it's a simple trade. But I don't think he wants to get into that part. So I see maybe a 3-year, $27 million deal, APY. What's that? Somebody calculating out there? Somebody out there, anybody who's doing calculations out there say maybe 3 years to 28 million with a couple, maybe avoidable year on it. Right? Maybe 4 years, but the last year is not great. Say four times 28 is what? 32. Yeah, we talking about what, 113, something like that. 4 times 32. Anybody, please in the chat, put that in there. 4 times 28. 32, 3, 4, 70. Something like 70 with like 60 million guaranteed. I think that's what, yeah, about 112. About 112, about 60 out of 112, about 70 million guaranteed. I think you jump on that. and give him 3 years. 3 years, he's 25 now. He'll be 28 years old in 3 years. He'll have that much guaranteed in his pocket, and then he can get another contract. I think he'll bite on that. They'll give him the 4th year so they can spread it out. They can put a couple of voidable years on the end of that, and they can spread that out. I think he'll bite on that. And his agent gonna say, hey, he want a bigger signing bonus so Pickens can get more money up front. He'll bite on that. And Pickens will be a $28 million receiver. I think that's where this is going. Y'all may say coach is crazy with his idea, but I think that's where it's going at. I think that his agent gonna settle for lesser years, lesser money, but lesser years to get back in the market. So remember, I don't have no receipts, but remember what I just said. Lesser years, maybe around a 4-year deal, 3-4-year deal, with some voidable years, around about 28 million, maybe 29. I don't think they're gonna go to 30. I don't even think they listen. I can tell you right now, they already done said when they already said that CeeDee Lamb is they feel like he's running back, they're not giving him CeeDee Lamb money. Nope. And really, Pickens is in a pickle. He's not in the leverage seat because they got him in the franchise tag, and they already point the case to that because in any negotiation, that's their biggest negotiation ploy. Well, listen to this negotiation, and I don't care what y'all say. Well, he's next, but he's not the best receiver on this team. Well, the market say, but he's not the best receiver on this team. Well, the market say that the next guy, but he's not the best receiver on this team. They're gonna continue to say that. There's nothing you can get around that. Now, in other situations, that's different. That's why I say context is different. Context is different. When you're negotiating and you're the guy, you're like, well, I'm the best wide receiver on this team. Yes, the market and all that stuff means something. But when you already got a guy 2 years ago that got 13%, that's not like no other situation. So it's gonna be handled differently. And I'm not disputing what people said, but how they handle the franchise tag and how they pay. Yeah, that's true. I'm not disputing that. I'm not saying that that's not good. But context matters. Every situation is not the exact same. And this one is one of them, it's very unique. So when you start saying that this guy is probably the best receiver in football, you're not paying the next man more. And I think they set that in stone. And that's how the negotiations gonna go down from there. And they're just trying to knock his, and some other team might go out there and say, hey man, we're gonna throw an offer out there right now. But it's gotta be an established team, people. Because there's not gonna be no team that's trying to up and come. Because if they do that for Pickens and give up first round draft picks, like Pickens is gonna be that's gonna get them in the Super Bowl, then they're gonna be exactly what they do. And then I ask Pickens, do you want to go to a team like that? Second thing I said about these outside linebackers, I think hopefully we can get that guy. Hopefully there's other guys out there, but they're trying to get guys to convert to outside linebacker. Let's think 3-4, people. Let's get out of this thinking of 4-3. Let's think 3-4. Tough, physical defensive tackles, interchangeable from defensive tackle to nose guard. They're gonna control their inside there. They're gonna get the rush from those 3 techniques, those tackles, those defensive tackles, and that nose guard. But your outside guys are going to be pressure guys. They brought in guys to train guys to be pass rushers. You think they brought in to train guys, the Cosbys and the Hendersons that already know pass rushing? No, they brought them in here to teach other guys that they're going to put in the outside linebacker position to be pass rushers. Let's look at the tea leaves, people. Well, y'all out there talking, they set tea leaves up to showing you, it's giving you the trail about what they're going to do. So, as always, man, this has been very therapeutic for me. If you want to do something, do the to-do list is in the right-hand corner. The to-do list in the right-hand corner says what? It's y'all left-hand corner. I think it's y'all left-hand corner, my right-hand corner. But the to-do list on there says what? Like, subscribe, and share. Somebody said, would I draft Peter Wood, defensive tackle from Clemson? No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They may draft a defensive tackle later on down in the draft, but absolutely not. Absolutely not. You got invested in money, invested in guys that can play. You drafted in, you got to get him playing time. What are we doing? You get somebody, you got some other guys that can play the 3 technique too. Nah, absolutely not. They're looking for outside physical people that can move. What is this? A stupid Pickens is special, but you got questions. And I say again, I'm gonna say this again, and I know people gonna say that no, no. If Pickens was on another team and he had 3 years like he had before and had 1 year like this, and they was talking about he was out there at free agency, yes, y'all would be saying, y'all, let's go get him, but y'all would be saying nowhere in the hell to play him more in the CD Lamb. Nope. No, y'all would. Y'all were saying he would come in, he would be a great number 2 receiver. That's what you would be saying. But now it seems like right now you want to pay him like he's a number 1. And I don't care what y'all say. He doesn't have 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns, and CD Lamb don't miss 5 games. That's not happening. Now, does that mean he's not having a good year? Yeah. I mean, that's just the truth, man. And I do agree. We do need to offer him a solid deal. I think they should offer him a deal. They shouldn't be playing around with. But I think the Cowboys are going to offer him a deal. But I think that they're trying to break down the ego of this. All these people talking about pay him anything. He's 40 million, 35, $40 million. They're trying to break the ego down because right now trying to, and you will understand this in negotiation. When you just go start negotiating with somebody who got this ego set there and this way or level, they way in another stratosphere, you gotta wait for them to calm down first. And their agent knows what you're trying to do. But when he said you unexclusive, right? He said, hey, we're gonna let you go out there and shop around. Let's see how special everybody else think you are. Because somebody, you can't tell me people talking about putting $100 million out there and they can say, oh, we gonna look at it, and nobody says about what happened last place. So many people make a mistake because they don't look at people's history. They say, oh, well, they just did something right then. Oh, that's good enough. But I do think they should give, and I think he should get paid. He's gonna get paid. But his agent is doing what he's supposed to do. His agent's supposed to get the best deal in for him. Now his agent may give him the best deal for the team that's poo-poo. So if he's at a team with poo-poo, he's not gonna shine. He's not gonna be great. Because greatness, when you talk about that type of money, greatness show up everywhere. Because when you had 900 yards, and I say this again, he had 900 yards in Pittsburgh, but there was another receiver had 1,000. I think 1,200. So yes, but if somebody sign and we get 2 first-round draft picks, I think anybody don't think that they can go out and find another number to 2 wide receivers for a little less money. Because I can tell you like this: none of y'all thought Pickens was going to do what he did. Everybody, they'll go out and get this guy. They'll go and get that. Well, we got traded, got Pickens. So hey, sometimes y'all got to give a little respect to your quarterback. He got the guy. He got the guy got paid in Miami. The third wide receiver to get paid in Miami. He left and got paid in Miami. Never did anything else. Well, other quarterbacks ain't never did nothing else. Marv Cooper had his best year in his career with who? The great Marv Cooper had his best years of his career with who? Dak Prescott. Y'all need to stop front of y'all quarterback and say, great chef don't need $300 million to make great steaks. Get them a good cut. They can make a miracle out of it. Now, if you have a quarterback that was garbage, you got to try to prop him up as much as you can. So I say that, but we'll see how it works out. I'm predicting around $28, $29 million a year, 4-year deal. And it's going to be about the guaranteed money and the money up front. Because usually a young man like this, after his rookie contract, probably done been spending money like crazy. He doesn't have cash right now. And getting cash up front is more important to him than everybody talking about how many years down the road. I think the Cowboys will be able to get him at a lesser contract if they give him more money up front and they can spread that money. So that's what I think Pickens, I think the Cowboys got that in the hole. And I think the Cowboys can get him at a lesser APR, average per year, APY. But their structure has to be a little bit deeper where he gets a lot of money up front. And I think that he'll bite. Remember what the agent said about remember what the agent said they're not gonna do that. They just signed a wide receiver that they got big money. And if they do that with all the defensive problems they got and throw $50 million into the 2 wide receivers, then they'll be the exact same way they are before. Listen here. This what gives me, right? This thing. And I'm not talking about you, sir, right? I appreciate you being on the show, but I want to say there's some people that think like this. And I'm not saying that bad about this, but I'm going to show you some context here. He said he could see Washington Commanders offering Pickens more than $40 million a year. Now let's look at the context of this. One, they just signed a 3-year deal with their guy last year that was holding out, right? 2, if you put that guy that they just signed, y'all give him his name, right? He got 3-4 years better than Pickens' best year. We had like Pickens had a year that historical. You be telling a guy that done put in 3-4 years of dominating football for you, and then you gonna give another guy 10 more million, because I think he signed for like 33 million, 32 million. You gonna give another guy 10 more million that's coming off 1, year. I'm not talking bad, but think about it. Logically, let's think logically. How do that sound? How does that work in the dynamics of the locker room? Did we see historic numbers from Pickens? Is it something that showed me? Did he have a year better than DeMar Chase had when DeMar Chase won the Triple Crown? I think yards, touchdowns, interceptions. Did he have a year better than Jefferson been having? Did he have a year better than CeeDee Lamb? Two years CeeDee Lamb had better years in Dallas when he was healthy. Did he have a better year than Puka Nacua with 1,700 yards? We act like Pickens. Did he have a better year than Cooper Kupp had the year they won the Super Bowl? Damn near 2,000 yards. Well over 100 receptions. He didn't get 100 receptions. So it's anything in film that shows you his exquisite route running where he just route people up. He can always get separation. There's anything in the film says that. So if it's not a guy that can get separation, what happens when he plays against defensive backs that this is good with 50-50 ball? And we still make excuses why this guy's got more excuses why he didn't do great things than any other player that I have ever seen. It's the quarterback. It's the defense. I'm watching other guys that do numbers. CeeDee Lamb did numbers with when we had one of the worst defenses in the league. And here playing with Uniquam, what my man's name? How many great defense? I mean, we talk about the Minnesota defense now, but how many bad defenses Minnesota had? How many different quarterbacks Jefferson played with? How many times Chase done work and Seattle and Cincinnati defense is horrible? And how many times Joe Burrow's been hurt and he still put up them numbers? Those arguments don't rap with me, man. And we want to pay him like he's those guys. Because if he wasn't in Dallas, I guarantee y'all wouldn't be saying that. Y'all be like, yeah, well, yeah, he okay, but he not. An offense that's Super Bowl ready is an efficient offense that utilize their players and it makes stars. It don't need ready-made stars to be an efficient offense in a ready-made Super Bowl offense. Teams don't win games all on their defense. Teams don't win 14 games or 15 games in a year or 13 games a year and they say it's all on defense. They have multiple ways to win games. There's a contribution from a lot of different players. When the sum of the parts get to the point of winning, then we're gonna win. But our fan base has this tension of saying it's one player, it's one unit, it's who can win it for us. But the problem is that our players hide behind that one, that team, that defense, the offense, or it's that, or we don't have enough weapons. Our team hide behind that. And then when they get at the end of the year, we got players to go and talk about we need help. We need to go in free agency. See, winning teams talk about the players say, well, what can I do better? Then I can play better. I remember the documentary, and y'all gonna say I'm going back too far. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say it anyway. I remember when, and this goes back to Lawrence Taylor. I remember Lawrence Taylor said something about when they went the one year they went and they played the playoffs, and then the next year they won the Super Bowl. And he came back and said, "Hey man, we ain't got to go get nobody else. We got to get better as a team. I got to get better. Everybody get better." Then he came out the next year being an MVP. The defense got better. Everybody got better, and they took the exact same team, virtually, and won a Super Bowl. But what we'll do is make excuses. We'll start saying we need to change this place and change that place. And then we'll let players go, and they'll go other places and turn out to be okay. And then we'll end up being in the exact same boat we were in before. I'll say this. How was our offense when we had CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Dalton Schultz, a young Tony Pollard, a younger Ezekiel Elliott? We had more weapons then than what the season ended up with. Get this team together. And let me say this. Your offense was broken. See, we talk about the offense like the offense was dynamic. Don't you understand the offense was better in 2023 by far than it was in 2025? Didn't the offense have a sputtering sometimes in certain big games where we sputtered? The offense consistency sometimes. Didn't the offense have to go on fourth down a whole lot? Remember that? You remember offense going on fourth down a whole lot? Some people say they went on fourth down a whole lot because of our defense. They went on fourth down a lot because you didn't get the fourth. We didn't get the 10 damn yards in first 3 downs. In bigger games, did our offense was it efficient? Because I would say this: when we play against better teams and they have better defenses, defenses are going to slow down offenses. That's been shown in history. Great defenses will shut the offense down. Now you might have some time offense against this and that, just like in baseball. Great pitching kills great hitting. Just like when you play in basketball. Teams that got locked down defenses and have a tendency to slow all that scoring down. Yes. When we get to the point and start saying, oh, our offense don't need to do nothing, we need to fix the defense. Okay. Let me give you a little history. Let me give you a recent history. Do you remember Mr. Anthony Sports? And think about that. Now, listen, I'm not getting on, but I want you to remember this. I want you to think about this. Do you remember? Listen to me good. Listen to me good. Do you remember the year that we came out of what the Mike Nolan defense? And we were the worst defense in the history of the Cowboys at that time. And we brought in Dan Quinn. We changed out 9 defensive players that year. We had Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, and everybody in that offseason said, we don't have to worry about the offense because the offense is all right. We just got to get a better defense. Remember that? That's the same stuff that we saying now. You remember that, right? We went that year and we lost Dak Prescott the 5 games. Who won those games? Did the offense deal with all those other weapons? Did we score a lot of points? No. The defense won 4 games with new to quarterback, and they have kept Joe Burrow with under 17 points. And the defense came through, and we raised our defensive level up to what 12th in the league from that year. And we get all the way to the playoffs. And the defense played a hell of a game, except for penalties against San Francisco, and who lost the game? Because know why? Because when you go in there saying, "Oh man, we don't have to worry about that," no, this offense got to get better. And if we go in there saying, "Oh well, we got this guy, we got that guy," and what we did last year, we don't need it. See, that's the problem with our Cowboys. Because we think every year we're going to say, "Oh, we don't need to do that. It's not broken. We got that." But when you look at the game in context and look at the games, really look at it and say, "Well, dog, man, we did sputter sometimes. Our offense did get dead sometimes." And how it got dead with two great wide receivers out there. But we found that we have no other way to win. I want our Cowboys to say, we can win any type of way. And guess what? I need our defense to have the mentality that says defense is a weapon in Dallas. And where we gonna get, how far we gonna go, is through us. And if your defense is better, guess what your offense looks like? It looks a whole lot better. See, when your defense say, "Well, we're gonna keep teams within 24 points." Now your offense go 31 points or 27 points, they look like juggernauts. Yeah. If defense play well, people thought Seattle had a juggernaut offense. But when you stress to try to do 30 points, now your offense. So that's what I'm saying. I don't want us to get into this point as a fan base that we get lazy and start talking about, "Well, the offense is perfect, man. It's all about defense. We ain't got to do that." No. I want us to say, "Man, this offense got to get better," because I want CeeDee Lamb to get better. I want Pickens to get better. I want this offensive line to get better. I want them to get more efficient in what they do, because efficiency wasn't there. Because in the bigger games, so that's what I'm just saying, man. I'm not saying you're wrong with that, but you can see, you remember how we went about to that year. And we can see with more offensive talent, we still fail. But I thank you, man. Listen, man. Hey, I know a lot of y'all guys out there say, "Well, man, he just talking to this guy right here, man." Um, as boy, man, he knows football, man, and he understands. He understands what he's talking about, and this is what and he understands. And I can see what he said. The whole thing is about marketing the team. And again, he's right. And the Cowboys fall in the line of saying offense sells tickets, but they don't fall in the line of defense win championships. And their DNA and their history, with all the great offensive stars they've had, they always got led by the defense to win championships. So he's right. They're dealing with the marketing strategy of where they. And I always said this, man. I say this, and I'm gonna leave you with this. The stupidest thing in the world is the Cowboys to try to market themselves. You said, "Well, wait a minute, hold up, Coach Marv, what you talking about?" The Cowboys name market itself. The Cowboys don't have to do nothing to get publicity. People gonna talk about the Cowboys regardless. You don't have to do nothing to get publicity. To me, I feel like when you try to do stuff to get publicity with the Cowboys, it's like putting a spotlight on the sun. For what? It's already bright enough. But that's called pimping backwards to me. They should be about winning a championship because they don't need to do the publicity. We don't need to make up stories. We are the story, regardless. The star means seen, talked about relentlessly. Y'all hear that from me? Coach Marv said it all the time. I've been saying that for a couple years. The star means seen, talked about relentlessly. That's what we are. So we don't have to make stories. We don't have to market. Let other teams do that. Just being the Cowboys is going to get enough attention as it is. And listen, the sponsors going to listen. The sponsors going to send money to the Cowboys regardless. You know they gonna be popular. They listen here. They can be quiet and people will make. You don't have to make up no stories. They'll make up stories for you. Because most of the rumors you hear, like the kicker said, that was he ain't turned down no deal. Man, most of the time, every time. Listen, and think about this, y'all. Every time they say a player to been dropped, you see it in the ticker. They be talking about the Cowboys gonna sign. You think the Cowboys make up that story? No, that's every media source. They know they put the Cowboys name in it. It's gonna get traction. Am I right? So why you got to market it? They got other people just gonna put your name in it just so they can get traction. And media people love polarizing people, and we are definitely polarizing. You love us or you hate us. Hey man, thank y'all so much. Y'all been so therapeutic, man. I got so much stuff I got to get done tonight and get done tomorrow. But listen here, as I said, like, comment, subscribe. My Cash App was in the box. If you want to support the channel, it's that right here under my name here on the side. If you see my name on the side here with a Coach Marv, my Cash App is right below that on the side here. If you want to Cash App the show, thank you so much. Please like and comment, subscribe. Some of these people who out there subscribe, and you are the Koye Media, subscribe and say Coach Marv talking about that 3-4 defense. And you want to talk about it with you, Coach Marv. He said, man, but thank you, man. Thank you for being in here, man. Thank you for being a participant in my show, man. I really appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for being a great Cowboy fan. Remember, as always, leaving my show, there's no one enough thing can stop God's will. God, I've been on here 2 hours. No one enough thing can stop God's will. Just keep pounding for these Cowboys. Let's be very sensible in what we do, man. Let's think logically. Don't let this hyper media get you out of the way. This is how the world is being portrayed. The world is doing all these illogical things, all this crazy stuff. You got a leader of this country that's just saying stuff off the top of here. A lot of crazy stuff. But make sure y'all use your critical thinking and your logic. And understand everything has context. Everything is not the same. It's not cut and dry. And be able to listen and hear things. And know what's real and what's played fake. And always say, don't worry about what they say. Watch what they do. Until next time, people. Peace.